Do you want to get your credit history started, but you have no idea how to do it? Do you have no idea what your credit score is, or if you even have one? Are you looking into getting your first credit card, but you have no idea which one to pick? Well, stick around because I'm going to be answering all three of these questions right here in this video. What's good? My name is Caleb and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you the exact step-by-step process on how to get your first credit card, how to start building your credit history, and how to raise your credit score absolutely for free. Everything I'm about to teach you is exactly how I got my credit score from under 620 to over 750 in only 1 year. So to anyone out there who's trying to move out in the next few years, or finance a new car, or buy a house, you can see why these things would apply to you. And on top of that, the better your score gets, the better credit cards you can get, and they all come with amazing benefits and perks. If you're 18, I recommend you do this immediately, and if you're older than that, I recommend you do it as soon as possible. Now there's technically 4 different ways you can go about doing this. The first one is an unsecured card. The second one is to become an authorized user on one of your parents' cards, and the third option is to get a student credit card. Becoming an authorized user on someone's account might not be the most reliable thing for you guys, and also you probably are not going to get approved for your first card if it's a student card or an unsecured card, because you traditionally need some type of credit history in the making before you can get these. And then the fourth option is to get a secured card, and in today's video I'm primarily going to be focusing on the secured card. Now since I'm going to be talking about secured cards in this video, I suppose I should mention the difference between secured cards and unsecured cards. So the difference is basically with an unsecured card, that's like your normal average credit card, and then a secured card is like designed to start your credit history, and you actually put down a deposit into the bank that they keep as collateral in case you can't make your payments on time. And typically you'll get this deposit back in full between like 6 and 12 months later if you can show that you have a good history. And this is so if you default or fail to pay on time, they basically will just keep this money as collateral. So yeah. Now you really want to look at all the details and the fine print with these cards. I would personally only recommend applying for one of the 3 that I'm about to mention. You can apply to 2, maybe max, but the only thing is if you get denied for the first application, it could ding your credit report with a hard inquiry, and it might make it slightly less likely that you'll actually get approved for the second card. So I would try and just pick one and just stick to that and try and commit to it and apply for just the one that you think is the best. And by the way, a hard inquiry isn't the end of the world, but it could very well be the variable that makes you get denied for the second application as well. Now all 3 cards I'm about to mention have 0 annual fee. They all report to all 3 major credit reporting agencies, and they also have a free credit score check within the app or the website that they use. And on top of that, these are all cards that are very widely known and widely recommended as really great starting credit cards to start building your history. Now to get started, my first recommendation is going to be the Discover It Secured card. This card is probably my top recommendation because it has a lot of really good cash back perks with it, and it only takes a $200 deposit to get the credit card started, and you can do a little bit more than that, but $200 is the bare minimum. And on top of that, you get a 1% cash back on all purchases made under this card, and then you get a 2% cash back on gas stations and restaurant purchases up to $1,000 worth of purchases every quarter. The other great thing is that they have the cash back match feature, so at the end of your first year, all the cash back that you've earned, they'll automatically double it dollar for dollar. So even though this card has a $200 deposit, you'll actually get this back after about 8 or so months if you make all your payments on time, and they actually do free screenings every single month after that. That way you can get upgraded to an unsecured card as soon as possible. Now this is the only card on this list that has sign-up bonuses and perks on it, and because of that, this is why it's my top recommendation by far. Now my second recommendation is the Capital One Secured MasterCard. Now this one is nice because it still takes a deposit, but you can actually do $49, $99, or $200, and no matter which one you pick, you'll start your credit limit at $200. So if you don't have $200 to put into it, you can only put $49 into it and you'll still have access to that $200 credit line. And just like the other one, you'll have an automatic screening from month to month after about 6 months with this one. And this is the only card on this list that will actually take a deposit smaller than what your credit limit ends up being, which is really nice. Now the reason I put this at number 2 is because it doesn't have any sign-up bonuses or any cool cashback perks or anything like that, but it is nice if you don't have $200 to put in the bank and you only have like $50 to $100. So to those of you out there who don't have that much money to put aside like that, this is probably the one for you. Now the third card on this list is the Bank AmeriCard Secured MasterCard. Now this one is pretty similar to the first card on this list, but it doesn't have any perks or sign-up bonuses either, and it actually has a slightly higher deposit amount of $300. And there's not really anything special about this card, it's your just generic, general, all-use credit card, but just like the other 2, this one has 0 annual fee as well. Now I'm gonna link all 3 of these cards in the description below, but basically in order to sign up for these, you just go onto their website, you click the link, and you click click apply, and you pretty much just fill out all your like general information like you do when you're applying for a job. So like your name, your date of birth, your social security number, your employment information and income. Now after you fill out the forms and click apply, you'll usually get approved or denied immediately, but if you get denied, it could take a couple weeks for them to send you something in the mail explaining why you got denied. But on the other hand, if you get approved, then it only takes about 5 to 10 business days for them to mail you the actual card, and then from there you can go on their website and register the card, create an account, create a password, and start using it right away. Now once you get your card in the mail and you finally have it in your hand, there's a few rules that you should probably abide by. The first one I'd like to mention is don't spend money on things you wouldn't normally buy anyway, because if you start doing this, then you're going to end up spending more than what your actual income is without realizing it, especially if you don't budget, and it'll become a lot easier to max out the card on accident, and then you won't have any way to pay it off. But if you spend money on things you normally buy anyway, chances are you've probably already budgeted for those purchases and you can handle it, and so you should be fine if you just stick to that. The second thing is absolutely never ever miss a payment.
Never.
A minimum payment is typically only about $25 to $35, but if you max out the card a bunch, it can rise from month to month sometimes. But if you miss a minimum payment even one time, it takes years and years for you to recover your score from this, and it's really bad for your credit report. Now another rule, in order to keep this credit card journey free, just like the title says, pay your balance down all the way to zero at the end of every month before the billing cycle ends. And if you do this, you won't carry over any interest from month to month. And then according to your credit report, it's going to show your credit utilization as being basically zero all the time. Even if you do max out the card, as long as you bring it back down to zero, you're never going to have any interest and you're never going to have any extra fees or anything, and that's what keeps this free. And the last thing I want to say about this is hypothetically you could max out the card and pay it down to zero and be fine, but I really would not recommend ever maxing out your credit card, and I would try and keep it below 30% of the amount that you have on it if possible, because this is just the best habit to have. And if you ever have any like deferred interest plans or more complicated stuff with credit cards in the future, having your credit utilization below 30% is generally what people who give out loans look for. Now as long as you pay your minimum payment on time, your credit score is not going to really be affected by this. The only downside is you're going to carry over some interest on your balance, and if your credit score is impacted, it's only because of the balance that you carry over making your credit utilization go up a little bit. So you might lose a couple points there, but if you miss a payment entirely, like miss the minimum payment rather, your credit score is going to go down tremendously. Now I can definitely go more in depth about how a credit score works and all the different variables that impact it, but I'm going to save that for another video. But bottom line, in case you didn't hear me say it the first time, do not miss a payment.
Ever.
The goal here is to grow your credit history and your score absolutely for free. So if you're paying any extra money to do this, you're probably doing something wrong. And the only reason I consider this to still be free, even though you have to put down a deposit for all three of these cards, it's because you get that deposit back in full after a few months. So as long as you can tie up some capital for like 6 to 12 months, you should be fine. And if you can't tie up that amount of money to get your first credit card, you probably are not ready to get a credit card in the first place. Now, like I said, there's a lot of perks to starting this sooner rather than later, and it can save you a lot of money with lower interest rates, with cars and housing, and you'll have a lot more opportunities open to you. Now, to paint a better picture for you, I actually looked up some statistics about this, and it turns out that in the United States, the average 18-year-old's credit score is only 630 according to Credit Karma and Credit Sesame. And according to Experian, one of the 3 major credit reporting agencies, people's credit score doesn't even hit over 700 on average until they're above 50 years old, which is totally insane. So like I said, you'll be way ahead of so many people your age if you do this, and this is exactly how I got my credit score from under 620 to over 750 in 1 year. I promise you'll thank me later. Please leave a comment down below letting me know where you are at in your credit journey, and if you're just starting out, let me know which card you're gonna get. There's plenty more secured credit cards out there that you could get, but I tried to narrow it down to just these 3 because I thought these would be widely recognized and from companies that you've probably heard before. And 2 really great websites that you could check out are Credit Karma and NerdWallet, and both of these sites are excellent for browsing through different credit cards and looking at all their perks and benefits. So if these 3 don't work out for you, be sure to check out those 2 websites, and I'm sure that you'll find something that does. Please ask any questions you might have and leave them in the comments down below, or send me a message and I'll be sure to address it as soon as I can. I really made this video because I just want to see everybody out there succeed, and especially the young people out there who never learned this from their parents or in school. I really want to show you how easy it can be if you just take the first step and do it. Please leave a fat like on this video if you think I provided any value, and if you like this content, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that little notification bell. That way you get notified notified every new upload. My goal is to be putting out a video every week on finance advice, psychological strategies, and just overall lifestyle topics in order to better your life. Now be sure to tune in to my next week's video. I'm going to be making a video kind of about the different things to consider when opening up a bank account, and if you should do a checking or a savings, and talking about interest rates and service fees and stuff like that. So be sure to check that one out too. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all y'all for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.